Hi everyone, I hope you've all been keeping safe. Happy Janmashtami to all celebrating. I'm very excited for today's conversation because we're going live with none other than Binaisha Kharis Dongre. So she has many feathers in her hat and I'm going to quickly get her on. But before I do that, I'm just going to ask you guys how y'all are keeping and what are you excited to hear about, because today's conversation is all about self-love, growth and acceptance. So if you do have any questions at any point, you can always use the sticker and we'll be happy to address them during our conversation. So I can see Binaisha here. I'm just going to quickly add her on. We'll be with you in just a few seconds. Hi Suvi, how are you? Hi Anushka. Hi, how are you?
Hey, all good. How are you?
Great. So I'm going to quickly introduce you before we get into all of the exciting conversation we have
Sure.
planned for today.
Sure.
So Binaisha here is an image consultant. She's also a stylist. She's a mental health enhancer, a TEDx speaker, and a keynote speaker. She's an advisor to fashion houses and creates different consumer experiences. And she's also worked with a lot of corporate clients like Qatar Airways, BMW, Deloitte. So she's done it all. And she's here today to share her experience and journey in this process of being India's first and youngest internationally certified image consultant, and all of her different experiences with self-love, acceptance, confidence and growth. So before we kind of get into like all of the Q&A and like let's talk about self-love, let's just begin by kind of understanding how you merged your passion for fashion, styling and like image consultancy into this career you have today, and how did you kind of like bring it, tie it all in together so beautifully?
So, Malika, firstly, thank you for having me here. It's great. So, my passion for fashion as well as mental health all came about through my own personal experience as a child. I've been someone who's been very keenly interested in the finer things of life, and whether it comes to clothes, whether it comes to relationship details, whether it comes to carrying yourself. So I feel the terminology of carrying yourself here is from head to toe in every format, right? So it's not just about how you look, but it's also about how you feel. So knowing all these things and experiencing all these things, say around as a teenager at that point of time, I felt that not only I needed the transformation, but I thought that a lot of us in that age group would have done with some good help, you know. So that was the kind of igniting thought that came about to me, and I said that I want to learn this, I want to take this forward. And I became very keenly interested, and I started becoming an observer of I think various kinds of fashion trends. However, fashion for me is not just about trendy and style. It's more about comfort and how it makes me feel. So I'm on a little different note when it comes to fashion. I mean, I would never recommend any of my clients to say, I mean, to buy into fashion unless they feel good about it or feel comfortable about it.
No,
So
that's
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
no, I mean, I think it's so important, right? Because it's purposeful fashion and it's styling and it's branding, but it's all with like, it's embedded in meaning, and that's so beautiful. But you have a journey of, overcoming your own personal battles and conquering your, internal conflicts as well. You have come out and said very confidently and openly that you were diagnosed with dyslexia and your journey with that. So, how did it kind of start there? Because that can be kind of a confidence hit, right? When it's a young age, you are diagnosed with something like that, to you becoming someone who guides people to kind of accept themselves and become a more confident version of themselves.
Right. So, for me, everything has been very experiential. I believe in the power of experience. I feel life is better experienced than explained. And whenever I went through all my challenges, there was one thing that always from within that came through, that this too shall pass, and make it a learning. So I feel like every setback in anyone's lives, any rejection in anyone's life is always one step forward to getting them closer to a newer goal, probably not the goal probably they thought of, but probably a new goal. And at the mere age of 10, when I was diagnosed with it, at that point of time, it felt like, oh my God, it felt like a disease. And of course, a lot of people did not know about what it was, including my parents. So when the hype becomes too much, and everything at that point of time seems a lot you can handle. But I think, when you look at a pizza, when you look at a 12-inch pizza, you don't think at that short you're going to eat it all, right? But when you take it bite by bite, that's when you can understand how much you can chew and eat, really. And that's what life was for me. I took each day as one bite, I took each day as one step, and tried to understand what can I bring to my own table. And then when you do that, you kind of lose shackles of all your inhibitions, and you kind of set forward to wanting to do things. And that's where I realized that, hey, you know what, there could be 100 other Banishas out there, and all of them could need this help, and maybe they don't have people that they can resonate with. So today I feel my clients choose me over, there are many others who do what I do, of course, and they're wonderful at what they do. But I think the connect that my clients would probably build with me, this is the feedback I receive, is they feel connected to my journey. They feel exactly how I do, and I think that's what keeps me going as well.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I think, of course, it's important for them to connect on the fact that even you've had your personal struggle and which you're so open about. But it's also a very difficult, tricky position to be in, right? Because when you're telling someone you are kind of going to style their image and enhance their image, it also has a bit of an underlying insecurity because they have to kind of come clean with all of their shortcomings. And then some people might think that, is it something I want to invest in? So how do you kind of pitch that to them? Like, how important is this entire brand, building a brand for yourself, building an image for yourself, and then how do you kind of help them overcome their insecurities to put that time and effort and money even into beginning this self-transformative journey?
So I'm fortunately or unfortunately in a profession wherein my clients need to want this, and that want needs to be a need. I cannot go to my client and create a need for this by saying that you need a mental health therapist, or you need a stylist, or you need somebody. I'm not in that business.
Yeah.
So wherein marketing for me becomes very difficult, of course, and frankly, I don't do marketing because I repulse things when marketed to me, especially when they're not objects and when they're services.
Right.
So that is the differentiation, even with me as a person. So when I am consulting people, I usually, I mean, the types of clients that I get is, of course, that they feel the need and they come to me. Well, and the second is their spouses feel the need, or their family members feel the need, and that's why they come. So it's never like a gift voucher that comes to them from my company and says, hey, you need Banisha services or anything of that sort, which is fair, because this service is very personal. Now, how far is it important? If you ask me personally, I feel today it's so important to brand yourself. There are hundreds of us who get the same degree. There are hundreds of us within that degree who get the same percentage, and there are infinite number of people applying for jobs. So, and trying to get into relationships. Now, these are the two most pivotal factors of everyone's life: getting a job and being in a relationship, right? So how can you stand out to be attractive to your partner, and how can you stand out to be, appealing, not attractive, but appealing and trustworthy to your employer? Right. Now, at that point of time, building your brand is something which is so important, and projecting your authenticity in the most effective format is what I help people do. So whether it's, there are lots of times when we as individuals don't end up thinking correctly. And that thought process kind of resonates, down into our dressing and then into our mannerisms and our actions. And then we either get the job or we don't get the job, or we get the relationship or we don't get the relationship, right? So branding oneself, personally, I feel is highly important. And again, speaking from my own journey, uh, I I branded myself in a way to tell people that being dyslexic is normal and it's okay. Now, I didn't use any fancy gadgets on myself or for myself or, do this marketing or any of that. I started being authentic to who I was. I started to work towards being the better version of me. I started to kind of learn things that I lacked, and accepting things that weren't my forte and working towards it. And that's how you brand yourself. It's not about getting yourself branded clothes or, going on these exotic holidays and taking pictures and posting it on Instagram and saying, I'm this cool brand. No, I mean, that's not branding ideology.
I think you said it so well because it's what's innate and it's what's within. It's not the exterior, and that kind of shines through and shines over what's outside. And that's so important. And what I love about the brand you've created really for yourself is that it's so eclectic. It's like God, it's positive, it's good vibes. You feel good hearing your videos and your bits of advice.
Thank you.
You are a mental health enhancer, yet you do styling videos with equal ease, without getting that doubt in people's minds and how is she doing everything. Like, that concept comes into mind, so you're just a jack of all trades, but that never comes with yours because it's so authentic. And I think that's like the pivotal word here. So, before we kind of go on to, okay, so we are getting questions where they're asking us about, like, tell us something, some tangible things when it comes to personal branding. So I think we can take that and then go on to, like, our next segment of how
Sure. So, hey Sahil, so your question is interesting. So, tangible things when it comes to personal branding for yourself, what you can do is, of course, observe the way the way you carry yourself. Because today your exterior will assume people's interior, right? So when you see a particular packaged product, you kind of assume, okay, that this would be a good product or not a good product, depending on its packaging. It looks good, it looks cheap, it looks expensive. So all of these come into play. What I here would say is, yes, check on the way you look, which is the way you dress. So make sure that your dressing is neat, clean, appropriate. So first word, be appropriate. Second word, be authentic. Actually, authentic would be before appropriate, but just started off in that way. Okay, so you should be authentic to yourself. So choose characteristics, choose talking styles, choose dressing styles, choose colors, choose the kind of job you want to get into, depending on the personality you truly are. Now, I'm a personality who hates being dominated. Okay, I do not like when I am told things. Now, this stems down from my childhood, wherein everyone was only telling me things, and I got fed up because for 15 years you only hear that, right? And I wasn't being told in a positive way necessarily. It was mainly by teachers in a negative format that you're good for nothing. So that was my psychology. So I chose a job which does not require me to do that. I also like to work at my own times because there are days I don't like waking up early. Okay, so this is why I chose my job. So you need to see something that's authentic to you too, so you don't have conflict of interest. The next thing is so be authentic, be attractive here. Now, what do you mean by attractive? Attractive means that, of course, you need to attract yourself. At the same time, you need to look appealing to other people. So make sure that your mannerisms and your clothing and the person who you want to project as yourself is in harmony and in synergy. So today, if I want to come across as someone who is very, like, I can speak to you and you can freely ask me a question and I'm not intimidating, I'm not wearing something that's intimidating you right now. Okay, and this is all that you can see of me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to wear a matte suit and sit down saying, hey, I'm Miss Know-It-All or any of that, right? At the same time, I know we're going to talk about self-love, so I decided on putting on some hearts here. Okay, so there are things that you can try to make yourself attractive in some format or the other, whether it's this small box here on Instagram or whether it's a larger scheme in life. Right, and lastly and most importantly, all of these things that you invest in need to be affordable. So you don't have to go to a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci and break a bank and get yourself these fancy clothes and assume that hey, the next girl you meet is going to fall in love with that belt, or it's going to fall in love and assume certain things about you. So I think everything needs to be in a relative balance, and these are the four, things that you need to focus on when it comes to branding. And branding yourself has another three components, which is appearance, behavior, your communication skills, and today the D is digital footprint. So make sure what you post also on your social media is, very relative and very you. So if you go onto my Instagram, there you'll see my work, you'll see my personal life, but hey, my life is my work. So that's the marriage that I have made on my social media. I don't have another Instagram account to kind of do that. So I hope I've answered you, Sahil, and everybody else who probably have this question, but he's just asked this. So yeah.
No, I think that was so well said, and I like the way you put it. Like, you have to kind of figure out where there's no conflict of interest and where you are not compromising on yourself. And that kind of brings me to the idea of self-love as well, which you so rightfully said with your choice of earrings.
Yeah.
That gets thrown around so much, right? Like, everyone is like, I'm taking a day off in the name of self-love, or I'm doing this because it's self-love. And it's so casually used that sometimes we forget the essence of what it truly means. So, how would you approach self-love, and how can we practice it in its authentic, true sense?
Okay, so firstly, let me address the fact on what is self-love. Okay. And how is self-love different from selfishness, if I have to put it, okay, or being narcissistic. So self-love is when you truly accept yourself in its complete format. Whether you have like today, I'd like to, be candid, then that's just me. I have a zit right here and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, and I'm not gonna cancel on you, by saying that, hey, I got a zit, I don't look pretty, I'm gonna like not come on screen today. No, yeah, chill, relax, just dab on something if you need to, take the focus. That's why I've put like hot pink lipstick, make the focus something else, put on a black top and get going with life. Because I feel you need to accept every aspect about you. If you get so stuck with your physical aspect, which most of us do, I'm fat, I'm short, I'm thin, I'm too tall, I'm this weight, I'm that weight, and all of these things, we'll never progress in life. We'll never move beyond us. And that in itself will make us narcissistic, and that in itself will make us a bit more selfish or self absorbed, because we're not moving forward, looking beyond us. We're not looking beyond us, but yet not looking, within us. So today I'm so obsessed with the way I'm looking, with the flaws that I have with my body, that I can't move on to the next step of self-esteem. Because if I don't accept who I am and how I look, now a lot of people, somebody has flat right out told me, I don't know if it was a compliment, Malika, or an insult at that point of time, but she told me that, what do you have to worry about? You just put on something and you look like you're ready to roll. But what about me? Like, I'm so much bigger than you. I don't think I'm pretty. I don't think any guy looks at me. Well, that is because you're giving out a negative vibe. It's not that I put makeup and I sit here. No, I just try to be myself here, and people will accept that. There are when I started doing IGTV videos, a lot of people said, why don't you put makeup and do it? Because you're an image consultant, you should. I'm like, hey, that's the point. That's my main reason why I don't put makeup and do IGTV videos, is to tell you that you don't need to put makeup only to look fancy. It's not like I have anything against makeup, but I use it when I feel like. So I think we need to move beyond the physical aspect and love who we truly are on the inside, and that acceptance when nobody else accepts you, that acceptance that you have is self-love. And for me, the simple steps of loving yourself, a lot of people keep on asking. The first one is to speak to yourself kindly. So a lot of us speak to each other very politely, nicely, diplomatically, and all of the above. But to ourselves, we are actually really harsh. So if you've eaten something and that you shouldn't have eaten, you're like, oh my God, Banisha, you're so stupid. Now you're gonna put on weight. Now you're gonna do this. This is not good self-talk. I don't do that, but this is not good self-talk, right? So we don't talk well to ourselves. So we need to start doing that. Another thing is we need to be very grateful for the journey we have. So if I sit here and I keep on cribbing about, how dyslexic I am, I have to admit this on like Instagram itself. There have been tons of my followers who have grammatically, who have spell checked me on my posts. Okay, and I have to be very graceful and saying I'm sorry. Yes, my dyslexic kicks in sometimes, and even autocorrect can't fix it. You know, so you have to be accepting of that. You have to be okay. You have to accept your journey, to accept the journey that comes with it. Your breakups, your makeups, your bad jobs, your everything is a part of you. So go with that. Another thing is choose positivity. So scenarios will snowball things at you and make it negative and things like that. But you have to look at the positives about it. You have to try to make an effort to say, hey, you know what? This has snowballed into my life out of nowhere. What is it here to teach me? A lot of people ask me, but when a family member dies, what does that teach us? It teaches us patience, it teaches us resistance, it teaches us gratitude. It teaches us all these things. They are gone, but what have they taught you? Think about those things. Think about things that you probably didn't do with them, and can you do that with the ones who are living with you right now? Can you express that gratitude towards them, that love and appreciation towards them? And I think the other thing that I would hear again say is be authentic, of course. So don't try to be other people because everybody else is taken.
Right.
Yep.
No,
So
that's
that's
so
what
beautiful. And I think you kind of already answered the next question in terms of what are some limiting beliefs that we have
Yeah.
that stop us from loving ourselves. And you I feel, incorporated it very well in how you explain self love. But if you were to, at the top of your head, kind of tell us the primary thing that is like a very big limiting belief and a big no no, what would that be?
So I think our belief to be perfect is a big problem.
Right.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of us here want to be perfect. I need to look like perfect. I need to be in the perfect body. I need to have all these perfection behavior, tuck, tuck, tuck. We have these checklist things, but the wrong things, of course. So I think the belief of perfectionism stops us from loving people, loving ourselves, sorry. And the next thing I would say is people's thoughts. The famous Hindi dialogue, which is "Log kya kahenge," or what will he think or what will she think. That really stops us from loving ourselves. So yeah.
No, so well said. And you couldn't stress that enough because especially like in India, in our society, we're so bothered and consumed about what everyone else says. Even in times like this, where it's a global pandemic, people are concerned like, what if they find out I have COVID? Like for the smallest and minutest of things, that log kya kahenge syndrome kicks in. I think once you
Yeah,
battle that, half the battle has been won. But
absolutely.
like what's like that first step we really need to take to begin this transformative journey towards self-love?
So accepting is very, very important. We should know our limiting factors, I would say here. So, for example, there are certain things that we're not good at, right? So, we should delegate those things to experts, to people who are good at doing it, and let them take things forward. Just a simple example, I'm someone who loves doing most of my things myself. So, everything, I'm a one man show. So from my Instagram posts to actually coming on live to doing my videos to editing them, it's all me. So whether it's amateur, whether it's professional, whatever comes my way, I learn it and I do that. Now, when I know that I need to kind of when I need to kind of take on things outside and take on services from other people, I have to delegate that job. As much as I try to do everything on my own, there will be certain things that I cannot do. So I think accepting and knowing the fact that here I can do some things and I can't do some things is very, very important.
I know that's true. Because sometimes we're so particular about our work, like, especially if it's your own project, you want it to be done in a certain way, and sometimes the messaging gets lost in translation and delegation. But it's very important to take that step back at times as well. And and another thing that kind of you focused on a lot, especially in the recent days, has been like making that mindset shift from what if to what is, and that's something I've been following on your page, and it really spoke well to me because it's we don't even realize. We keep saying that, oh, I wish that happened. And in like these smallest ways, if we say it, we are kind of focusing on that, the lack of and the absence of rather than what's before us. So how important is it to make that mindset shift? And what is the belief anchoring it that, shift yourself from your thinking from what if to what is?
So, this what if to what is actually came out when I was talking to a friend about his breakup. And I was just like, but why are you always focusing on what if will have, what if, just focus on what is happening. And I was like, wow, that's a good one. So wherein a lot of us do this, and I too have been guilty of it. We focus so much on what if will happen, what if this happens, what if that happens, and just take a moment and actually realize what is happening right now, because that is so important. If you are not focusing on the present, on the here and now, you are not going to be able to actually live in the moment, live in the present, to then enjoy your future. Half of us are living what happened, okay, and half of us are living what will happen. There are very few of us that are living in the moment. We are physically present here, but our mental spaces are back and forward. And then when we move one step forward, we're regretting the back, which was our, today, but now it's yesterday. So we only regret things is because we don't focus on the what is. And we anticipate things because we focus on the what if. So it's very important to be present in the here and now, to understand who you are, what your capabilities are, and how do you want to go forward. So it's very, very important.
That's so important. And another thing that I've noticed, that especially now with this whole pandemic, with this anxiety and restlessness and the fear of the unknown, it's very easy to find oneself like going into that, rut of thinking where you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? When will that job come through? When will that, financial stability, will it last me? How long will it last me? There are so many people, especially young millennials, who are so anxious right now. And the one thing that one finds themselves spiraling into is this chain of overthinking, right? Because you've made up all these made up situations and scenarios about all the what ifs, and then we forget that how can we focus with the matter on hand. And that kind of is the whole idea of mind over matter as well. But what would be like your kind of few key tips to keep in mind to prevent that downward spiral of overthinking?
So firstly, again, we overthink is because we don't know what to think in that topic. Okay, so there is one topic. Now someone's not gotten back to you. Simple subject. You've messaged somebody, okay, and they haven't responded to you. Your first and initial thought will not be positive, it will be negative. That is the human mind. And actually that's not the human mind, but unfortunately, as society, we raise our children, and we were raised in a negative format by saying that don't worry, it will be okay. Okay, so and this is something that we do all the time. We bring anxiousness without the person realizing, hey, should I be anxious in the first place? This is something even with pets. I mean, I've recently got a baby doggy home, and wherein I realized that she gets anxious when I'm anxious. They say that it goes on. So what we're really doing is, we are scared. She has no idea what that object is in front of her. We're saying, oh, don't worry. And she's looking at us like saying, what is there to worry? Or, okay, maybe I should be worried. Same thing is what we do with overthinking. One thing has not even occurred properly, and we have gone into overdrive of being like, oh, but what if it's this way? What if they don't like to talk to me? Or what if they just are ignoring me? Now, hello, there's a life beyond you. What if they're in the loo? What if they've fallen off the toilet seat? What if they're eating dinner? What if they're just charging their phone in a completely different room? What if your message actually didn't deliver because their phone is switched off? Think about the other what ifs also, and be calm and be patient. So overthinking has a lot to do with being patient about the outcome. We are always wanting answers now. We're always wanting, so living in the here and now is one thing, but wanting things now is not something that is related to here and now. So we need to really be patient. And overthinking is something that even I have battled a lot of times. And to be very honest, I don't think it goes away really fast. It takes a lot of time. Today I might know strategies, I might know coping mechanisms, but hey, when I'm in a state of, some thought, I overthink too. But what we need to be is aware about it. So whenever I overthink, I'm like, okay, Banaisha, relax, get your act together. What is the thought that's really bothering you? Is it that they haven't messaged you? Are you worried about what will they message you? Well, both these two things aren't in your hands, so there's no point of thinking about it. Is there a problem? No. Then why are you worrying? Is there a problem? Yes. Okay, can you do something about that problem? Yes. Then why are you worrying? If there's something about the problem, no, I cannot do anything about it. Then again, why are you worrying? So technically, you don't need to worry. You just need to be patient.
True, and that's so well said. And like right now, I think that's the one thing we're kind of running out of patience, because there's just this uncertainty and there's no knowing when that vaccine will come out, what will happen. I think mostly right now there's already this like wave of anxiety because of the global pandemic, and what we sometimes overlook is mental health and all of the issues that are with that right now, which is supposed to be another global pandemic of its own. So it's so
Yep.
nice to kind of focus, and we always talk about like anxiety, depression, and like all these other aspects of mental health. But what I like the way you position yourself as a mental health enhancer, because you are kind of touching upon these topics, but it's more about like that own inward journey and becoming the best versions of ourselves. So, before you leave, you've kind of already told us this overarching, encompassing view of right from styling, fashion, your own personal experience, your journey, and about how we can take control of our mind over matter. But what would you say, like for the generic you, makes them the best versions of themselves? Like, how can we be that, and what is that one thing that makes you or the generic you here the best version?
So again, coming back to my favorite point here about authenticity. So everyone is already taken, and there can't be, another person like you. So why are you trying to be somebody else when you can be you? There is one aspect of being inspired by one person and their characteristics, and then there is another thing of aping and copying where everyone inevitably fails. Okay, today even a twin cannot be the same as the other twin. So why try to be somebody you are not? So I think the first step here is very, very important, that to be authentic to who you are, to embrace every flaw of yourself, and to work towards that flaw. So the reason why I like to use the word enhancing rather than change is because you're already at a particular comfort level of your life. All you've got to do is step up. You don't have to change course. You just have to step up in a good way, in a different way, and embrace that enhanced version of you. Everything does not have to change around you. Change is though inevitable, but let life throw those changes at you. You don't have to change. You have to uplift yourself. You have to enhance yourself. So in fact, Malika, every live session that I do, I actually go back and I see those live sessions, and I make 5 pointers of what can Banaisha do better when she's talking. In my first live, in fact, I said I repeat too much. So be aware about repetition. Be aware about how you're looking and where you're looking. Otherwise, I was landing up looking everywhere else but you. So these are just pointers. So if I obviously, people will stop calling me and wanting to have these chats like you do, because they'll be like, dude, she's a social embarrassment. Like, she's not even looking at me while talking, or she's repeating herself all the time. So a 30-minute conversation has gone to 60 minutes. These are all image breakers.
Right.
These are all brand breaker factors wherein people will start repulsing you, and you will not understand what are you doing wrong. So you always have to auto correct yourself also. And for that, you first need to know who you are.
That's so true. So
Yeah.
it all begins with introspection, right? Like you need to look inward, you need to figure out who you are, fix yourself, and not even
Yes.
fix, like make yourself the best version so that you can make room for all those other beautiful relationships in your life, friendships, family, and love. So that's
Absolutely.
so well said, and I'm so excited to have done this and like put this out there. And it's so important to even have these conversations because I know you have them all the time, but they're sometimes just helpful reminders to others and to yourselves.
Yes.
So I'm so glad we did this, and thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us. I'm trying to see. I think we answered most of the questions. There were a couple in the question tab, but we already kind of covered them through our conversation. So if anyone does have any further questions, I'm sure they can DM you or put it on the comments to this video, and we'll address that then.
Definitely.
So thank you so
Sure.
much, Vinaisha. It was lovely talking to
Thank
you and
you,
having you share your
Malika.
journey with us.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank
All
you.
the best
Take
to you.
care, everyone. Bye.
Bye. See you.